Hello? It's another book review. And before I start, the reason why I have these glasses now is because my eyesight got bad. I have to wear them for like a year until I go to an operation, and I'll be better. Today is another book review, and that book is Fazbear Frights, Volume 1, Into the Pit. Into the Pit is also the first story of this book, and is followed by two other stories. To Be Beautiful, and the last one here, Count the Ways. As I said, Into the Pit is the first story. Now, interestingly, all of these stories had artwork which were made by Lady Fissy, but they were scrapped due to lacking color. And this is the only Fazbear Frights book I have, but I really did enjoy it and I like it. It's definitely a 10 out of 10 book. I do like it. So what are my thoughts on it? As I said, I like it. The book is really great written, but Into the Pit is the only story that remains uncredited. It could be that Scott wrote the story himself or someone else whom he didn't want to credit. But yeah. The first story is about a kid called Oswald who lives in a dying town and wants his summer to be not boring. But that eventually goes to a dark level. He goes to Jeff's Pizza, finds a ball pit, time travels, and encounters demon version of Spring Bonnie, a demon inside the suit, which is not William Afton, and shit happens. His dad gets replaced by Spring Bonnie, but only for like a day or two, and then Oswald fights with Spring Bonnie back in Jeff's Pizza in modern times, and Spring Bonnie gets hung, as it is also shown in the graphic novel. This is the first story to have a happy, uplifting ending. There are many other stories that have happy endings, like Out of Stock, Dance With Me, Puppet Carver, and others. Count the Ways and To Be Beautiful have downer endings. They end horrible, in a bad way for those victims. In To Be Beautiful, Sarah finds a robot called Eleanor who looks a lot like Circus Baby. Yeah, but it's different. She is evil and wanted Sarah to die. Right? She gives her a remnant, like a necklace that she had the old time, as it was really later revealed, and it makes Sarah appear more beautiful every day. Then one day she accidentally loses the necklace and becomes the metal her body was replaced with. When she gets home, she finds these bags full of blood. Those are her own body parts. Really creepy for a book. It said that FNAF is for kids, but are you sure? So eventually, after Eleanor transforms into Sarah, the original Sarah, she thinks to herself, actually, I was quite beautiful. Maybe not perfectly beautiful, but beautiful I was. And Sarah dies. She gets turned into a bunch of metal, and that's how her life ended. And as for Eleanor, she later emerged as the antagonist of the whole Fazbear Frights series, but she is defeated by Stitch Wraith in Epilogue 11. I don't think that Fazbear Frights Volume 12 Felix the Shark has an epilogue with Stitch Wraith. I haven't read it yet, so I can't be said for sure. But yeah, what says here is different what it said on the graphic novel. What do you wish for the most? It's a question that Oswald, Sarah, and Millie think they know the answer to. Oswald wishes his summer wasn't so boring, Sarah wishes to be beautiful, and Millie wishes she could just disappear from the face of the earth. But in the twisted world of Five Nights at Freddy's, their hearts' deepest desires have an unexpected cost. And they did. Oh yeah, that reminds me. Yeah, the darkest story in this book is Count the Ways. It's the darkest of them all. It's about a girl called Millie who is a 14-year-old goth teenager, and she's obsessed with death and dying. That later comes to bite her in the ass, though, when she climbs inside Funtime Freddy in her grandpa's, I think it was a garage or something. He gives her options on how to die, and when Millie asks why he does that, he says that it's just what he's programmed to do. He hasn't done that in a long time. He gives her many options of how to get killed, such as the first being dehydration, starvation, and then decapitation, boiling. That's all fucked up, messed up, that is. In the end, she chooses decapitation. She thinks that if she ducks it low enough, she'll survive, but it's clear that Millie didn't survive and she died. Be careful what you wish for, kids, because death isn't cool. So yeah, this is my personal thought on the book. I really do like it, and it was not that expensive. €8 and 19 cents, which is, how much is that in marks? Screw it. But yeah, the book is really well written. And interesting fact, Lady Fitzy was fired from doing FNAF artwork. Fired by Scott. And that's my mom talking to someone, if you don't know. But yeah, the book is really well made. I recommend it to you to read it. And if you like, you can also read the graphic novel adaptation, both the first and second volume. But I don't have the second volume. And interestingly, there's something I want to say about Out of Stock. Out of Stock was to me something like Night of the Living Dummy. It was similar to that because Slappy is the main mascot of Goosebumps, and he comes to life when you read the magic words. Karu, Marie, Odana, Loma Milano, Carano. But the plush trap chaser, just like the real plush trap, gets stuck. He freezes in the light and walks in the dark. It was like another Living Dummy episode, and I really enjoyed Out of Stock. My 3 favorite stories in Fazbear Frights are Into the Pit, Count the Ways, and Out of Stock. And the other notable honorable mentions, 3 are To Be Beautiful, What We Found, and Room for One More. So yeah, this is definitely a great book. I recommend you to read it. It's really well written, and it has really interesting details. It's not to be connected with the games because the books are separate in separate universe, but there are some connections, like the famous murder of the 5 or 6 children in 1985, which is shown in this book, and also in the graphic novel adaptation. So yeah, that was Fazbear Frights Volume 1, Into the Pit. The next book I will do my personal thoughts on is the Official Character Encyclopedia, which was my first book and the most expensive FNAF book. It came out this year, and I will be really glad to review it. I do like the book. It has mistakes, but it's at least, unlike, let's say, the Ultimate Guide, reliable. And it has some good information. Except for one case, but I'll talk about that later. See you in this encyclopedia review.